What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Shift Across the Border. My name is Max. I'm with Chris, and today we have on, finally, the big boss. Probably been mentioned the most in any episode yet, and most mentioned person in all of our episodes, and gonna drop some insightful shit today about college basketball. Coach Hack. What's your middle name?
William.
Keith William Hack.
Oh, it's like for speaking better and shit?
No.
So why'd you say for the podcast?
Bacon's not real and neither are no.
No, bacon's not real, because if you go to a grocery store, there's too much bacon.
Keep working, your time will come.
Shit. It sounds like you're eating human bone. It's a mini. It sounds like you're eating hamster bone. It might be stupid, but is India in the Middle East? I don't think so. Is it? But before we get into the episode, make sure you guys subscribe to our YouTube. Follow us on Instagram at Shipped Across the Border, and on TikTok at Shipped Across the Border, and our Instagram at SATB_pod. Let's get into the video. So, Coach, where are you from?
So I'm from a small town called Hopewell Junction, New York.
Sounds like a Fortnite location.
It's in the middle of fucking nowhere. No, it's not like where Chris is from.
No pigs and sheep and cattle.
No. It's not that bad. It's like an hour north of New York City.
So near Albany.
So you know where Poughkeepsie? You ever hear of Poughkeepsie, New York? So if you went to where we go to Albany, like Sage and
Harvard.
Well, mainly Sage. Harvard's in the middle of fucking nowhere.
Yeah.
Right. But Sage, is Albany. So I'm about an hour and 20 minutes south of that. Yeah, it's not as desolate as Chris, but it's
so in that kind of middle of nowhere place. I mean, New York State's like a very big basketball state, but how do you start? How do you get into basketball?
Well, it probably started when my dad he started coaching CYO at a church, and we're not even Catholic. Like we got grandfathered in because my dad knew somebody, and my sister played. So I used to go to the gym when I was 2-3 years old and watch.
You had an older sister?
Yeah, older sister. She's 4 years older than me.
Did she ever go anywhere with basketball?
No. She only, it was probably until she was 12, I want to say, playing, and then she just kind of stopped. She's more of the arts type of person, so she does, a lot of with graphic designs and stuff like that.
Maybe we could have some.
Yeah, no, she's really good at it. She actually designed the most recent flyer we put out for the basketball camp. But I was around the gym probably since I was 2-3 years old with my dad, and I don't know. I think CYO kind of started getting into basketball, and then from there it just kind of became an obsession. I would stay up. For me, when I was 6-7 years old, I would stay up with my dad, watch games at 9:30 at night. Right,
the big boys.
Yeah, no, and then it was kind of crazy. When I was 10 or 11, my dad put a full court basketball court in our backyard with 2 hoops, and that's when it just kind of really took off. And I was 10, 11. And I was a sicko. My goal when we turned when was your birthday? When were you born?
April 7th, 2003.
Jesus fuck. So back in 1999, the court was basically in, and I wanted to be the first person to make a new basket, a new millennium. So when every other kid's probably staying up until midnight to 3, 2, 1, yeah, New Year. I was outside and I made a shot right as the clock hit. My mom counted it down, and we have it on camera where I just made a shot. So I claim I made the first
Keith
shot.
Hack is the first person to hit a shot in the 21st century.
21st century. There's real shit. No, so I think that's just kind of where it came from, and then I just kind of became obsessed with it. And it runs in my family. I got cousins that played in college.
Where'd they play?
Well, my one cousin, that's the reason I came up here. My cousin played here.
At Medaille.
And my uncle coached here. And that's how I kind of knew about Medaille.
So the blue and yellow runs deeply in the Hack family.
Well, kind of. Yeah, I mean, my uncle was actually let go from here this summer as I was being incoming freshman. And I remember Coach McDonald, who took over the program because he just got let go from Canisius, called me up and was like, hey, I know you're coming to Medaille. There's no promises that you're going to make the team or anything like that. I just want you to know as you're coming up. I was like,
shit.
I was like, fuck. I already.
You were originally going because you're
my cousin. So my uncle, the whole goal is I want to play basketball. My cousin was from Indiana, My uncle, they grew up there in Indiana. My uncle coached at a school. It was called Tri-State. It's now called Trine University, and they're in Division III now. But that's the whole reason I came up here. It was basically to play basketball with him and, kind of play for my uncle, which I never played with my uncle, played with my cousin for a year. So
what did your high school career look like?
My high school career. So I've listened to the podcast, obviously, and everyone claims their high school was the best and basketball was the best. Our basketball wasn't that great in the area I grew up in. We had some good teams like in New York State. You have like sections, like so we were Section 1. And basketball, like the league we were in, wasn't great. Like Poughkeepsie was really good, but then when you got in the sectional tournament, you had to play like Mount Vernon or New Rochelle. And I remember we were playing, games against Ray Rice, the old football player for the Baltimore Ravens. Yeah, no, and he was fucking nasty. Like he was really good. There's a kid, Jeff McDermott, who went to Providence. And then we played against Mount Vernon too, and they had 5 or 6 kids go Division I from that team. But I wasn't very good in high school. Like basketball wasn't even my best sport. I just loved it the most.
What did you play?
Huh?
What did you play in high school? Like, what was your best
soccer?
sport?
Soccer was my better sport.
Really?
Yeah, no, I was a goalie for soccer. Had pretty good hands, which kind of got me recruited more for that.
Where'd you get recruited to out of?
I had some low Division I looks. I had schools like Siena, kind of sniffing around. I had schools like Marist. They were all interested, but I couldn't do it. Like I like soccer. I didn't love it.
Yeah,
right?
sure.
Like we talked about that. There's a difference.
No, for sure.
But I wasn't very good. I was also very fat when I was young. Yeah,
But you were mobile, probably.
No, I was just fat.
Because you're like now, I feel like as when you played, like you were bigger, like not like a bigger guy, but you were mobile as like
Yeah,
before.
no, well, it was crazy. So I remember sitting down with my dad. I was in 10th grade, so I got cut from JV. I played on the freshman team. Then I played 1 year JV, and I was still pretty fat. And my dad sat me down before a varsity game, and we're watching like the first quarter, the game's going up and down. And my dad goes, "You think you can play?" I was at this level. I was like, "Yeah." And he looked at me. He's like, "You can if you weigh as much as you do now." I was like, "Shit." And that's when things kind of turned. And I actually went on. You laughed, but I went on the South Beach diet. It's basically no carbs.
Okay.
You cut carbs completely.
Keto.
Well, I mean, now there's different names for all that.
Passover diet. I did that shit last week.
But it was tough. So I was actually probably 5'9", 5'10" in my sophomore year, and then I was probably like 200 and I don't know, 30, 35 pounds. So I was like a little meatball running around on the court. Yeah, no, like it was wild. But then I went on this diet and I lost about 40 to 45 pounds, and I also shot up to be about 6'2", 6'3", which kind of evened out things. But I remember, like, my friends were dickheads. Like, they would take pretzels and shit and throw it in the Jell-O, like the non-sugar, non-Jell-O I was eating. But and then my junior year, I came off the bench. I didn't even start per se, and we actually won our league and got one of the better seedings in the section that year, and we lost a couple kids. And then my senior year, I took a pretty decent sized jump. I started working with this guy back home who was actually a shooting coach with the Dallas Mavericks for a little bit. And we didn't even really work on shooting. We just worked on getting me in shape and doing a bunch of crazy shit there. And it actually paid out exponentially my senior year. And I had a pretty good senior year, but we weren't good as a team. Like we missed a sectional tournament because we lost our last game. So like I wouldn't even say my high school basketball experience was very good.
But then did you have any other basketball looks out of high school?
Not really. Honestly, I didn't play AAU my junior year. I really just focused on trying to get in shape and work on, ball handling, shooting, everything else. I was like, it doesn't matter if I'm not fit. Like I'm not gonna be able to play at the next level.
Is that the goal when you were going through high school? Like that was like, I need to make college basketball?
Yeah, I think I kind of decided that probably when my dad sat me down that day and asked me, like, do you want to play at this level? And like, yeah, I want to play at varsity. But then it kind of resonated, and I have a pretty big family. My dad's one of 10. So we have pretty big family reunions, or we used to back in the summers, and all my cousins would come in. They were college athletes. I got cousins played Division I women's lacrosse, 3 that played college basketball. So it was more like I see them over the summer and like, you want to do what they want to do, and they're older cousin. So like you see that and it's cool. So like kind of like yeah, I wanted to play, but I was nowhere near fit to do that per se. And then it was just kind of from ever then, it was like, all right, let's get myself in shape. But I had no offers coming out. Even coming here, I wasn't promised anything. I just came. And obviously my grades weren't the best in high school, so like I also didn't get into some schools I wanted to.
So you come here, and then I mean we all know that you ended up you're on the Hall of Fame for you're on the Hall of Fame in general for all sports, but you ended up like winning the conference, going deep in the tournament. So how do you make that jump from just like, and you got like you had a large role as a freshman. So how do you go from like a player who's like we're just trying to get in shape, like doesn't have any offers, to like probably like 12 months later, you're starting on a college basketball team, on a successful program college basketball team where you guys are winning. And how do you what do you do to make that jump?
Well, you guys know how bad Medaille was before I got here as a freshman, right?
I do not.
No, you talked about Coach Mack in the hallway. I don't exactly remember, but he did say that you only won like 2 games or something.
So we were 4-46 before my freshman class got here.
Oh, in like 3 or 4 years.
In 2 years, we're 4-46.
Oh, yeah.
So they went 0-25
Dang.
1 year, and then 4-21, right? So I actually remember like my first year here, like we were playing second, the women would play first. People would come to the women's games and then fucking leave as soon as we came out for warm-ups.
Was the women's team good at that point?
No, they were elite. They were I think they were nationally ranked, to be honest with you. Yeah, they would steamroll teams left and right. But I think the kind of how it happened was, you know, you're like obsessive compulsive only about shooting and not guarding.
Yeah. Well, I mean, now it's changing. Now I feel like I'm because it has to. But
yes, it desperately has to. Like, and you're obsessive compulsive just about the weight room now, right? Like I was so obsessive compulsive about I didn't want anyone to ever outwork me in things I do. So like when guys, we'd have to do the same things I have you guys doing, right? Like get up at 6 in the morning to lift or 7 in the morning to lift. Like that's what we were doing when I was here. But like my morning routine was come in, lift, run 3 miles on the treadmill as fast as I can. So it'd be like I'd finish in like 18:45. So like I was running 6 15-mile clips, and then go shoot 500 shots in the morning, and then come back, do some individual stuff, and then work just on playing. Like we just play as a group, right? And I think what helped me was when Coach Mack came in. He really valued like high IQ system guys. Like if you watch me in open gym, I wasn't a guy that was gonna give you 20 or anything like that. Like I wasn't. You got like our gym right now is a lot more talented guys than maybe we had here. The difference was our team was so good systematically, that it was easy for us to kind of gel. Sure. And I still remember like we had a kid, James McNeil, who's actually in the Hall of Fame too, who was inducted in, I don't know if it was this past year or a year ago. I think it was a year ago. He was a starting 3-man, and Coach had me penciled in kind of behind him in preseason. And then we went to St. John Fisher to scrimmage, and I had a really good scrimmage. Like I played really well, and I remember coming back from that, he brought me in the office later that night, and he was kind of like, "We need to find time to get you on the court." And I was like, "Okay." He goes, "How would you feel about moving to the kind of the 4 spot?" I was like, "Coach, I'm fucking 6'2", and I weighed probably a buck 85 at the time. I wasn't strong enough in my mind to go play against college forwards, right? But I was like, fuck it, like it's a chance for me to get on the court. Sure. So when that happened, it was just kind of, you know, I didn't score a lot my freshman year. Like the only way I'd score is off offensive rebounds, but I didn't really turn the rock over, and I was really keen on knowing everything in the offense. But also, like, we had really good teammates here, man. Like, Chris Moscato, who I play with, who's our point guard, he started every game from freshman to senior year. I started pretty much from freshman to senior year. Kelly Candello and Mike Birkin, who transferred in from Fredonia, like, they were key cogs. I think the biggest thing with our team was we were all basketball junkies. Like, we all loved the fucking game. Like, we'd sit down and watch every NCAA tournament game, every NBA game. When we were bored in the fucking dorms, we'd create ourselves on the NCAA video. Well, we didn't have fucking 2K. Well, man, like we had 2K, but it wasn't as popular. Yeah, fucking old as shit, right?
We didn't even have 2K.
No, like we had it, but it wasn't as like popular as it is now. So like we create ourselves on March Madness and we'd fuck around playing video games.
I wish that game was still NBA Live, March Madness, or whatever it is?
NBA Live was awesome, but like NCAA March Madness, we create
wish that
ourselves
game
and
was
we play all the time. So I think we were just, and like that first year we won 11 games. We were 11-14, coming off of 4-46 the previous 2 years. But people treated us like we were fucking really good. I was like, we're 11-14. Like, I guess it's better than what we were. But then my sophomore year, we kind of took off. We were 15-13. We made the conference tournament. We lost in the semifinals to Lake Erie, who's now they went
P2,
Division II, and they were good. They were filthy. And then my junior years were we were 21-7. Like we were starting off rough. We were like 6-6 or something like that. And then we won like 8 in a row, and we were 21-7. We actually beat Pitt Bradford in the championship. And then my senior year is when we returned everybody that was starting for basically 3-4 years, and we were just deep. Like we had a really deep team. So part of my success was just because our team was so good. Like we literally had 2 starting groups, and it didn't matter.
And then you guys so talk a little about the tournament run, because you go to that's.
Well, we want to talk about the first year when I lost your fucking high school coach.
Shout out Coach Kirbis.
Yeah,
I want to hear some.
There's a shout out.
I want to hear some of those stories, because there's like when we tried, me and all of our teammates, when we found out that I think the first time we found out that he was like good was when I was being recruited by you, and we were having a conversation. Your coach was like an All-American, right? And he would always he's never how we're stretching and you're always shooting around in practice, and he plays Ymir in a one-on-one and with no, or beat Joe with no dribbles. You're always just
Poor
fucking
Joe.
around. But he is
Joe gets roasted.
he is so serious. He would never shoot the ball.
Coach Kirbis would never shoot the ball.
He would never shoot the ball. After practice, he would make sure every single ball is in the kit. He would never even shoot a form shot while we're stretching. Never. He was just so business.
Dude,
So I've
their
never
team was fucking loaded.
Yeah.
I remember. So we got there my first year. We were 21-7. Medaille was traditionally one of the worst programs in Division III. So we got a very, very low seed. And I remember I don't know any better. I'm just showing up every day, practice, whatever. And
This is your junior year.
This is my junior year, and I remember I was having one of those practices where just I don't know, I just wasn't fully engaged. And Coach Mack just fucking yelled at me. He goes, "Keith, we play the fucking number 2 team in the country on Friday night." And I was like, yeah, whatever. I know they're really good. And I remember going out there and we're watching film, and this dude is just running off fucking screens. And
He was like
dude, he was so good. They also played a platoon system. So they'd sub
I know
5 guys
I know
in,
that,
5 guys out, and it was every 2.5 minutes. They'd just throw waves and they press the entire game. But he was exceptional, man. He knew how to really play, and he wasn't super quick, but he can get you to spots, and you were just you
I'm
were
trying
dead.
to think, because one of our assistant coaches one year was also one of his teammates. He's a lefty. His name is blanking. I don't know how I'm forgetting. He didn't spend that much time. He didn't spend that much time around us. He didn't spend
Clearly.
that much time around us. But I forget his name. I remember his name. He was a lefty.
I don't know, man. That whole team though, they were so good, and we had a really close game. We were down 15-16 a lot of the game, but we kept making these runs. I remember I had a pedestrian first half. I was terrible. I had 2 points. I wasn't really aggressive in the first half, and I came in and got I got yelled at pretty good about you're supposed to be our guy. Let's wake up. And had 23 or something like that in the second half. And we played really tough, and it came down to, it was 94 to 89, I want to say. And we come down, and Chris passes to Joe McGavra, who's friends with Coach Long. And Joe went up for a layup, and the kid slid underneath. He makes a layup, but the ref ended up calling a charge. And there was no charge arc back then, so it was more just refs were just it was more an opinionated call. And that kind of changed the momentum, because after that they came down. And I think they went and hit a 3, which basically put the nail in the coffin for us. But I remember right after that game, Coach Matt goes, "I want to schedule them again," because he knows we had everyone returning. Rudy and a lot of their team returned, so I was
is he?
Let's do it.
He goes to the same age?
Yeah, I believe so. I think he's 30. He's got to be 35, because we played against them my senior year.
Something like that, yeah.
And then we went back my senior year, and we were undefeated. They were, I think they were number 2 in the country. We were 9-0 or something like that. We weren't ranked. We weren't even getting votes. And then we went to John Carroll. And this is crazy too. So when I went home for Christmas break, we were playing them December 30th, I want to say. I think it was December 30th. And I went home for Christmas break, and my grandmother wasn't doing too well in the hospital. And I remember driving back the 26th the next morning because we had practice later that night. And I get a call from my dad. I'm basically at Rochester, so I'm an hour away from Buffalo because it's like a 5.5 hour trip, right? So I'm coming back. I get a call from my dad saying that my grandmother just passed away in the hospital. So I come up, practice, get through practice. I literally hop on a flight to go back to my parents' house. And my grandma's funeral was the day of our game. So, like, I didn't know if I was going to make the game or whatnot, but my dad was also, you know, fully invested. Like, he's like, my mom would want you to do what makes you happy. So we actually, after a funeral, went to New York City, hopped on a flight, flew from New York to Cleveland, and then played the game. And it was crazy. We ended up winning 92-91.
It's a high-ass scoring game as well.
I mean, we played high, like, it was a lot different than your fucking freshman year. We scored a lot of points, but they did too, and we ended up winning at their place. So we went from not being like getting votes to being ranked to jumping to like number 15 or something like that in the country, and we won our first like 15 or 16 games. We started off like 16.
Who'd you guys lose to?
During that season?
Yeah, like your first loss.
Our first loss was Pitt Bradford. At Pitt
Fucking
Bradford.
Pitt Bradford.
No, like it was at Pitt Bradford. Like we were much better, but they had a freshman. Like we didn't play well. Like it was just one of those games. We didn't play very well, and they had a freshman that actually fucking hit a shot basically at the buzzer to beat us. And we actually lost twice to them that year. And we got blown out by them on my senior night.
That's the fucking worst.
Dude, it sucked. We got blown out. And
At home?
That's what I'm saying. Senior night.
That's what I'm saying.
it was at Bradford.
Terrible.
No, so it was like we literally lost. Like we just got there was like 5 or 6 of us that were graduating, and we just were so uptight. We didn't play very well. Got blown out, and then we had to play them again in the championship, and we were up like 25 in the championship at halftime.
Got it back in blood.
Oh man, it was
Got it back in blood.
the game that mattered the most.
So then, what's it like? Kind of just like because you were inducted to the Hall of Fame not too long ago. But what's that feeling like of you come in? Not having anything promised to you, and you have an unbelievable career, and then like the nail in the coffin, just like the culmination of everything is get inducted to the Hall of Fame. Were you coaching at the time when you were inducted to the Hall of Fame?
Yeah, so it was actually the career thing. Like I said, like that's just right place, right time with really good teammates, and working as hard as you can to like we all have goals. You all have goals and what you want, whether it be basketball or anything else. Like my goals were very specific to team, but also my own stuff. Like I wanted to be an efficient player, right? But that was like a culmination of just being part of something that was really good. So like when they started the Hall of Fame like I don't know 3-4 years ago, maybe 4 years ago.
Oh, it's a recent thing.
Yeah, it wasn't too recent, so we didn't have it. And the first Hall of Fame class went in. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool that they're doing this now. Like it makes sense. There's been some really good athletes that come through here. And it was my first year, so I got hired in 2019. It was like October. I get called up to, at the time, Susan Rourke was the AD before she left this year, and I thought I was in trouble. Like I thought I fucking did something wrong because I'm like, this is out of the blue. She's like, come on up, and she told me I was going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame in February, and it was like kind of a full circle moment.
Yeah,
I want to say because
sure.
it's like won 2 championships here at my alma mater.
Where your
now
uncle
now coaching.
where your family also had history here.
Yeah, like well, there's a ton. Like I met my wife here. Like so, like a full circle moment just kind of came in that, like the emotions of it just kind of ran through. Like it was a really cool, surreal moment to have that like happen here while I was here, not somewhere else. So
I was going to ask, after your college career is over, you've gotten to the Hall of Fame and all this stuff. How do you decide to become a coach? Like, was that the first thing as soon as you got out of here? Like, I'm going to coach, or did other things happen before that?
when I first came here, like I think I wanted to work somewhere within, like try to get your foot in the door of like a professional basketball franchise, right? And maybe one day, like when I was young, I was like, oh, maybe try to go like a end goal GM route of a team. Like I think it'd be really cool to be a person that's like signing players and putting teams
That'd
together
be
and
sick,
shit like that. Like that would be really cool, right? Mm-hmm. But then when I got out, like I went down to South Carolina to do this like overseas tryout thing, and it went pretty well. Like, I had some opportunities, but then when I broke my ankle for the third time, I want to say it was, I was like, fuck it. Like it's just like I'm just fighting against time. Like, and then in that first year, so a guy that worked here as an assistant back in 2009, Billy Beeline. So he's the nephew of John Beeline, who coached at Michigan, West Virginia, also with the Cavs for a year. He offered me a spot coming out of college. Like, I was like, all right, cool. Like, coaching JUCO, like, let's fucking do it. And that first year, like, I just really enjoyed it, really liked it. Second year, loved it again. So just kind of like, I kind of knew I wanted to get into coaching.
Which JUCO was it again?
Niagara County Community College.
Okay,
like
so
they're insane now. Like they were, I think they went to the Elite Eight this year for.
We've heard a bunch of dudes talk about that, like the local.
Yeah, like, and it's the nickname's N Trip, right? Like they were just, it was different when I was there, but now they have just like fucking dudes roaming the hallway that are just like look like mutants. And that's what kind of when I got into coaching. So like I kind of knew I always want to be involved in sports and basketball. That was always like, my mom would always give me shit. She'd always be like, you don't really care about doing anything else unless it's basketball, and then you get your full 100% attention. And I was like,
I've heard that a fucking million times. A million fucking times.
yeah, I mean, that's what it was. So when I started doing it, and even when I was here, my experience here with Coach Mack and seeing how he like ran a program, I thought it was really cool. And like, just, I feel like I would have missed that team aspect if I wasn't involved in sports in some capacity. But then I just kept getting entrenched in it more and more. And you learn so many different sides to coaching because people just think it's like show up, practice, leave. Like, it's the farthest fucking thing from the truth. Half the time you're playing more psychologist to Max, or shout out Trevor Young, than anything else. But like that's kind of when I got into it. So I did 2 years at N Trip. Then I want to get back into the 4-year side of things. I did 2 years at SUNY New Paltz, which is closer to back where I grew up. 5 years down at Ursinus in Philadelphia, and then this job opened up.
Who? No, it was Coach Long that said he was born in Philadelphia.
Eagles fan.
Eagles fan. So, we've heard a little bit about like you had a stint in some sort of military thing.
That is not fucking true.
Really?
No.
So that picture of you with the rifles and being jacked and all that stuff.
No, the rifles.
There's a gun in there, I swear, or something.
No rifles.
You never had any stint in Navy, military, nothing like that?
No, I'm obsessed with like the military training aspect things, but I've never been in the military.
Damn, that
ruined.
Holy fuck! I thought
That
We had a whole like few questions about.
I could say like, yeah, I was a frontline Marine.
I thought you had like you were fucking just like went to the Navy or some shit for a little bit. I swear
everybody was talking about that.
Someone said that before.
No, I've had family members serve. Not me though. I'm not cut out for that frontline. That's not me. No, I'm sorry to kind of kill the dreams there.
I was looking for a story there.
Where'd that start? Is that you? Did you start that?
No, I don't. Because I swear, I saw a picture of you like jacked, and then
you posted something for someone's birthday on Instagram with like looking like it was some
birthday.
Recently.
Oh no, my buddy just got the head coaching job at Goucher.
Yeah, but it would look like it was like your boy from fucking Barracks 214. Your bunkmate or some shit.
No, that's farthest from the truth. Never was in the
There
military.
goes that question line.
Shit,
What was the next question to that?
It was just a fucking
Lessons from the military.
How do you take that and fucking turn it into some basketball? I will scrap that fucking segment.
All right.
So, so you go from being a really high level player and a really high level player around a high level program for a few years, and then you go into be a coach. And how does your perspective of the game change now that you said you were obsessive compulsive about the work and all that, but now that kind of stops in the sense of like the physical training and getting better. So how do you make that transition in order to be a coach, and how does your perspective of the game change?
Well, I think when you're obsessive compulsive about training for being a player, you're generally worried about yourself. And that's the hardest thing to kind of teach everyone else is like when now you're coaching, it's not just worried about Chris and Max, it's worried about 1 through 20 on getting them on the same level and kind of teaching them like what is expected in college basketball, because people have this misconception that Division III basketball isn't like,
for sure.
either like it's a fallback option or some shit. That's the farthest thing from the truth, as you guys know.
For sure.
Like this year, there's a different time commitment. There's a different
100%.
Yeah, it's like what's expected, right? So I think when you're coaching, I think the biggest thing is it ain't just about you or anyone else. It's like now you're not just leading the guys that you have on the roster, your assistant coaches, your manager, how you represent yourself in public or to the school. and really just looking out for everybody and trying to get them to understand, like, no, this is what it's like here. This is what you have to do, and try to teach them things I learned or things I did throughout my career here, I guess. And I think the biggest thing I try to possess in you guys, or, you know, kind of how to work at a college rate. Like, nothing drives me more fucking nuts when I see people in the weight room. Like, this probably is one of your things since you're obsessed in the weight room now, but like people coming in like Crocs or slides.
I just hate when people come in and they go to like one machine and like the girls come in and they go on their phone and they just do this.
Tell him about your Smith machine, buddy. We don't have to drop. I mean, I don't even know his name.
Machine, buddy.
He goes to Smith machine, does one set.
Oh my god! I'll go in on
This is Chris's arch nemesis.
This dude,
other than the girl that he met in the weight room last
this
week.
guy, bro.
I need to hear both.
I don't want him to hear this because like I don't actually hate him, but he's okay. I might hate him a little bit, but
Just don't name drop.
okay.
We don't even know his name.
I'll go in on,
Even better.
I don't even know his name. I'll go in on leg day and I'll hit squats, and then I'll go to the Smith machine and I'll do like hack squats basically because you get your angle on regular squats doing that. And the one day I came in and I was doing squats and I tried to go right to the Smith machine, but there was a kid on it and he's doing calf raises, and he'll do like one set of calf raises, and he's on the phone on Instagram. He spent 35 minutes there after doing one set of calf raises. I wanted to smoke the kid in the jaw. And then the next time I came in,
and Chris is so non-confrontational, he would not say anything.
I know.
He wouldn't be like, yo, can I work in with you? Or like, hey, how many more sets do you have? He'll just wait the 35
next time
minutes.
I come in there, I'm hitting chest, and I like to go from flat dumbbell bench press to incline, and I like to go back to flies to finish it off. But there's only one set of flat things I can do on the cables. So he's on there doing his thing, and he's doing the same thing. He's like talking to his girlfriend, doing whatever. So I'm like, you know what, whatever. I'm going to go over and I'm going to try and do decline dumbbell stuff on like the ab thing. So I grabbed 45s and I went to go do it. I locked my feet in. I did my set. And then I kind of unhooked my feet and I just slid down the thing and I verbally went, oh shit, we're going down. And I just threw the dumbbells. My headphones came off. And then I hit my fucking tailbone on the bottom of the thing. And then I just hate that guy's like existence now because he kind of like, I would have not had to do that if he just got off the machine. So yeah, I don't like him as a human being. I'm not gonna lie. But yeah,
Personal fucking vendetta right there.
Chris is arch enemy.
yeah,
Good
it just
Lord.
bothers me when people.
Other than Ryan Murs, who Chris and they always like go back and forth like,
He used to
you're
yell at me 'cause
small.
I can't bench my
Yo,
body.
we need to talk about Ryan Murs wearing the shortest shorts known to fucking.
Shorter than my shorts.
I mean, you have like little chicken legs. Though. You're like Chicken Little running around out there.
That's how I bounce. All this,
You a bounce?
I could dunk at 6'1".
It's there,
So
but
considered of like to the grand scheme of things.
What would I say? What would I say if Jaquan could dunk at 5'10"?
He could. I never. Like, I knew that he could dunk, but like, was he
said-
really
said
dunking
has
before he got
dummy
hurt?
athleticism.
Oh, Quan's a freak.
Really?
Yeah, he would do some shit. Just like wow. It was like when. Do you guys remember Kirk when we had the alumni game?
Yeah.
Do you
little
remember?
fucking.
He was like yeah, big. He's from Maryland, so he was the best player.
throwing
He was the best
ball
player my
between
first
people.
year here. He tore his Achilles like halfway through the season. He would do shit and like he would turn like drop step dunk.
at 5.
Dude, he's generously 5'9", like generously.
That's crazy.
Dude, it was insane. Like that. Talk about bounce. Like he was probably the freakiest athlete I ever coached. Quan's up there. Quan.
Kwon could really jump like that. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I mean, you never really like. You'll see it
never
next
saw him
year
play, really.
when he comes back.
I mean, I had to guard him at the beginning of open gym, and that was hell.
But being like
Give me
twitchy is-
your best you guarding Quan story. I would love to hear this.
Oh, I mean, like, there was the first day. I can just give you my first open gym story. Like, I coming out of a town of 300 people, and I came up here, and we just started hooping. And first possession.
Kwon's the first black person he's ever had to guard.
That's not true. But I had to guard him, and he came down and he hit me with that weird ass like Tim Hardaway half swing that he does, and I was like,
step back
at the
and stuff.
free throw line. He's at the 3-point line. He drilled at my face, and he doesn't really talk shit like that. But it was like 5 possessions in a row, and then Demo's on the sideline going, "Who's gonna guard that guy? Who's gonna guard that guy?" And I'm just, I didn't know anybody, so I was just talking shit on the sidelines. And then Colby came down on a fast break and hit me with an in and out, and then. It was definitely an offensive. I'm going to stand by this, but he hit me, put me under the rim, and then he just laid it like he normally does. And then he took the ball, shoved it in my chest, and said I should have boomed your little ass. So I'm just
And then
getting
you
hit-
went back and
like
cried.
I'm just getting
Colby said that?
Yes, and I'm just getting switched on to people and getting cooked left and right, and I have no idea what's going on. And that definitely was a shell shock off rip. Like, this is college basketball.
Welcome.
Yeah, like
You've arrived.
yeah, that was different.
Colby never fucking dunks, dude. Ever.
It was just above the rim.
He was in the office the other day, and I was like, you set the bar so high for me because that first day when he dunked on fucking James.
I don't know. I was at
No,
home.
I
I
was turned
think.
around, bro. I didn't even see it happen.
Dude, when he dunked that ball, because we're doing Sparty
yeah.
layups, right? And he comes down.
What was the setting of that? It was like
It was
someone
like
passed it to him.
top and left, top and right.
So they were. He was coming from like the wing. I want to say like
So
it was
wing
both
and
wing
wing?
spots.
Okay.
And he hit him with a bounce pass. He goes up before James just gets baptized. I've never seen.
It was probably like
He brought it back. Like it was. I wish it was on film. I wish I was filming that segment of practice. I was like, oh, like I became a fan. I was like, oh shit, like James just got our 6'10" kid just got dunked on. Like that's not great. But then he never dunked again.
Yeah, it's always
literally never.
Let's just lay it in. 'Cause
Like
he's
literally
24.
never. Yeah, his knees can't handle that shit.
No, he got to preserve him.
For sure.
You talked about pet peeves in the gym, and I want to kind of get into
Well, this is gonna be hilarious.
what are your pet peeves as a coach? Things that just irk you when you see a player do them. Because I know there's probably a lot.
All right, I'm gonna turn that to you guys before I get into my answers. What do you think are a couple things that bother me?
When
Well, we talked
well,
to Coach Long last night, and he said one is obviously effort, because that's like the one thing you can control 100% of the time. So I'm assuming effort and attitude are probably the first two. So if a kid just lackadaisical and he doesn't give a shit, that's probably like.
I know for you it's when a player's not in shape,
Oh, fucking just.
or maybe not a player, but an athlete in general.
So yeah, like you're a college athlete. Like there's a certain level of expectations, right? So like, again, I was obsessive about being. I wasn't a strong kid probably until I became a junior. I could start, moving some weight around because I didn't take the weight room as serious until that.
Junior in college.
In college, yeah, like Coach Mack sat me down. He's like, "You're just gonna keep getting your ass bumped around as a freshman." I was like, "Yeah, whatever." Sophomore year, didn't really do much of anything. Then it was like, "Oh shit!" Like I was averaging 12 a game as a sophomore, so like I was starting to get better defensive coverage. I mean, I knew like I need to get stronger. So then it kind of progressed. But like I was always obsessed about being in shape. Like I never got out of shape. Was always in shape. So like when I see college athletes on not just our team, any team here, I'm just like, the fuck are we doing here? Like there's a standard, right?
I feel like there's like some specific references we can make, but like I don't want to.
No, we're not.
I don't know their names.
Like,
But
I'm gonna be honest with you. I'll be honest with you, like fucking Zymir. Like when Zy came in and he was like 250 at 6'4", I was like, oh boy, like, we gotta work, Bryce. Like, man, we gotta work here. And to his credit, like Zy dropped 25 pounds or whatever it was, and like now he looks a lot better, and he's starting to.
And he got a haircut.
That haircut, for a while when I first saw him, I thought he was like Fat Albert. Hey. But I think the being in shape things, I think that's like easily controllable. Like if that bothers me, obviously the attitudes bother me. And I think what the biggest thing, I think that really changed me is like during COVID, because like basketball was taken away from everybody, right? Like we couldn't do anything really during COVID. So everyone's like, oh, I just want to hoop. I just want to play basketball. I want to do this and that. COVID's over. Now you're not getting in the fucking gym?
Yeah, but also like I just want to hoop. Like, dude, I was hooping every single day of COVID, like by myself. Maybe it wasn't like, but I was finally going to the fucking park.
Well, that's because literally you would malfunction like a robot you are.
I would go to the
You didn't work on the
park.
dorsey flex of the elbow or whatever it is. Also, like the thing I struggle with as a coach is when you guys can't fucking remember plays. Yeah.
I have a story
Hands
about
up.
one of your probably pet peeves. I have two examples of like that effort thing. So one time, like we were just doing 3-ball 2-man, and I think like I let the ball drop, but I think you just wanted to like because everybody was like just not fucking around, but just like not like putting in the necessary intensity to like maybe get better from the drill as opposed to just like kind of like using it as like a break in between two different segments of practice. And I think you saw me, the ball like hit the floor, and then or maybe it was like a long rebound, and I was like jogged to go get it, and I told like maybe it was Jeff, go get the next one, and whatever. I fucking stopped the whole thing, and he was like, if you guys aren't gonna take this fucking seriously, then we're never gonna fucking do this again. And another time is, so a bunch of us like I think we probably didn't say 10 on the shot clock, so we sent us to run. So we're jogging there back for like 10 minutes on the side, and then I get subbed on right away, and then I turn the ball over, but I'm still like I just came from jogging at a pace, and so I don't run after the fucking because I was still moving at the same pace I was for the last 10 minutes, and then I got sent off because like if you're gonna turn the ball over, you better fucking run and get back in front or something like that.
Honest to God, though, but that's like how it was
No,
when I was here.
It's also like rightfully so.
Like we got yelled at for anything we didn't. Like
of course.
I could tell you, there's some stories, man. Like
I want to hear some stories because I feel like Coach Mack, when we played Damon,
Yeah.
he at least to us, he seemed a lot more like lax, but he's also like way older now.
I mean,
we won't watch that
think of
game.
it, like he got so coach was let go from Canisius, and like I think it was pretty wrongfully why he was let go. Like there's some of his dudes got injured, so like that didn't result. And like he was there for 9 years, and unfortunately, like if you don't win in Division One, they move on. Right, it's a business, and Canisius is a hard job to win at in general. Like it's not funded like the rest of the programs in that league. So when he came here, I think he was trying to prove like I'm a really good coach, and now he's in his mid-50s, so like. I'm hoping in my mid-50s I won't be having a fucking aneurysm for a freshman turning the ball over, or fucking not knowing what team they're on when we do a drill.
We talked about that a bunch of times.
But so we were doing this drill. You know that 7-and-7 layup drill we do where it's like you go off 1 foot twice, then 2 feet twice, reverse, pull through, all that stuff. I remember we just got our asses handed to us by Lake Erie, and we just got the ball ripped from us constantly. So we're doing that drill for like warm-ups and practice. And he's Coach Max being the guy up top, so when you rip through, he's swiping at the ball, right? And we had one kid get ripped, and we're like, oh shit, no one else better get ripped because like that's gonna stop the drill. Like we're just gonna be on the line. Fucking next kid comes up, gets ripped by Coach Mac. I'm like, oh shit, he hasn't stopped it yet. Next person up, fucking strips the ball. I'm like, oh boy, here it comes. And next thing you know. He blows his whistle. He goes, guys, I don't fucking get it with you. You're all so soft. My knee hurts. My back hurts. My dick hurts. and he's just going off on us on how soft we were. And the ball, like somehow a ball like went up on the track because he just like maybe slammed the ball or something like that. I don't remember how it got up there, but our manager at this time, this guy Ed Brown, was at the scorer's table. And at the time, so like Medaille, like the training room's outside the gym now. At the time, it was above on the track.
Really?
So there's like a staircase that went up there to go to the training room upstairs. Fucking Ed goes to run up the stairs to go get the basketball, flips the whole fucking scores table over. The scores table, it's just complete pandemonium.
I can imagine Queasy doing that shit. You cried.
It was,
so crying.
And then it was like also my junior year, we were out at Geneseo. We played Geneseo at a game. We played like 2 teams in Rochester, so we stayed overnight one for whatever reason. We were overnight, and me and my roommate at the time was a kid, Ben Kopp, who actually played at Houghton. So Houghton was at NAI Division II school at the time.
Okay.
So he was on scholarship. He transferred to Medaille because I don't think they were very good, or they were like middling 500, but he wanted to play and like on a good team. So he came, and we were roommates along with my actual roommate, Kevin Borden, and we're in the room just like, fucking around essentially. And we get this knock on the door. And the thumb hole was covered on the door, and we're like, it's probably one of the guys. So we open the door, and Ben goes, "What the fuck do you want?" It was Coach Mac, just screwing with us, standing right there.
Dude, if I got a knock on my door at night, me, Joe, Chris, whatever fucking around, and it's you, I would have a fucking heart attack.
It's a stupid shit that he said in it.
Joe already has no filter. Around me, he says the dumbest thing ever.
Oscar, someone like Oscar would like even it was 2 days ago. Yesterday, Oscar would come and cover the people, knock on the door, and Joe, without even knowing who it is, open the door, you spray him with water, and then close the door.
Dude,
so
Joe's actually the biggest menace in the dorms. Like every time he goes by Oscar and Tane's room, he has to ding the thing just in case.
Like he uses his key card.
Yeah,
and pretends like he's somebody.
Ding, just in case Shy and him were getting after it, and then it'll make them stop and wait. But everything, he just torments them. The one time he did it, he was just about to do it, and Oscar opened the door. He went, and he sprayed him on accident. He said, "Run!" And we just ran away. And Oscar was just standing there wet for no fucking reason.
No privacy.
Yeah,
my man. O. And then I think one of the funnier ones was my freshman year. We went to Florida for a tournament. Like it was already pre-scheduled, so it was my first year. So Coach Mack takes us all down to Florida, and it was like that last night we were there or something like that. We went out. He's like, "All right, curfew's back at like 12 or 12:15 or something like that." So, I mean, this is probably gonna. You don't have to cut this. You don't have to cut this, but it was pretty fucking funny. So we decided to go to this place called Club Topic. It was a strip club. And we had like a dude named Billy McCormick who was probably like on the same wavelength as Jeff. And shout out Jeff because I know he gets shout out every time on this pod.
Every show time on.
He does. So we're at the strip club and this kid, Billy McCormick, and we had this kid, Dennis Milford, who's, you guys might have met. He came to, maybe you didn't, he came to Rochester game. But Dennis like loved strip clubs more than you love shooting jump shots, and that's pretty
fucking
yeah, like
love. That's a lot of love.
it's a lot of love. So I remember we got this call from our assistant coaches at the time. So it was Gabe, who's now the head coach of St. Joe's, Chris Moore, who's actually the Secret Service in the White House,
That's sick.
and then Todd Kane, who was an admissions guy but also helped us coach here, and he played here. And I get a call from Gabe essentially saying like, "Hey, Coach Max said 11:30. You guys aren't at the hotel. He's pissed, and now he's coming out looking for you guys." I'm like, "Good luck finding us, because it's not like you have location. Like we had flip phones. Like we didn't have iPhones or location or anything like that." So we're trying to gather. All of us are at this Club Topic place, and we're trying to gather everyone and get home, right, or back to the hotel. We're all outside. We're doing a head count to make sure we have everybody. Like, where's Dennis? Where the fucking Dennis? So I forgot who went back inside to find him, but he was in the back getting a lap dance from some stripper, and the kid busted open the door. He's like, "Dennis, we gotta go." Like Coach Max trying to find us. So we get outside. We're like, "All right, we have to get back in like 10, 15 minutes, so we got to run like a mile and a half." So about to start, like we had rented like 2 big ass Suburbans to take us places. Gabe pulls up in it and he goes, "Coach Mac, what do you think of this?" Rolls down the back window. It was fucking Chris Moore, our other assistant. They were just fucking with us the whole time. And he's like, "No, it really is 12:15. We just wanted to fuck with you guys." So now we're like, he goes, "You have 15 minutes to get back." So we're like, "All right, like let's sprint back so we don't break curfew." We have one kid who has the most explosive diarrhea problem right now going on. So he's stopping at hotels on the way home, shitting constantly. So we end up getting everyone back into the hotel, and like we were fine. Like we never really, like nothing ever came of it. But Eastern Connecticut State was down there too. And
What level is that?
they're Division III. So they're just in the New England area, and they broke curfew. Next thing you know, we're going out on our balconies. Those fuckers are out on the beach running sprints for like 45 minutes at like 1 in the morning. It was so funny, man. But like, Coach, like he turned the program around, and like he was very strict on how we were doing things the first year or two. But then when we became juniors and seniors, it kind of like it was easy. Kind of ran itself.
So, kind of going more to like the basketball side and like the coaching side. So, like, what are your future goals? Maybe with coaching, outside of coaching, and then maybe just for the program in general, the Medaille program in general.
Well, coaching, I want to stay at this level. Like, I don't have any aspirations of going higher or anything like that. When I first got out, I almost had an opportunity to go to Northwestern. It never panned out, which is fine. Like, I don't regret the path I had taken to get here. But coaching, I can't see myself getting out of this level, and I also want to probably do this until I die or get fired, one or the other. But that's the goal. Like I can't see myself doing anything else. Like I knew I wasn't made to sit at a desk for 8 to 5 or 9 to 5. Like that's just not me. I can't do that. And I like the interactions I have with you guys daily, and it keeps me kind of young and like you guys are funny. Like you guys are a really good group to be around.
We had a lot of personalities.
Yeah, so many. But that's what the cool part. Like look at our locker room, man. Like we have dudes from like Oscar from Germany getting along with Quan when Quan's not petty or they're not fighting over something incredibly stupid, but like from Texas. Like I think that's really cool. Or we got 2 Canadians starting up their own podcast.
Yeah.
And it's like it's really cool to see those types of things. So I think I can't see myself ever deviating from this level. Like I would love to stay, and like goal wise, like I want to, like I've told some of you guys, is like my goal is for the programs not to be one of the better teams in the league. Like I want to be one of the better teams in the region. Like I want to get further than what we did my senior year, where we were a point away from the Sweet 16. And I think that's like the driving force, is to make sure, like I want to surround myself with kids I can lose with, because I think that's important, but also kids that want to work their ass off and do things the right way. And I think that's what drives me in the coaching thing. Is like, all right, like let's see how good we can get this program, because there's a blueprint, but now it's like, all right, can we keep working to get those spots?
That kind of answers the question I was going to ask. Is like, what would you do if basketball was taken away from you?
Honestly, I don't know, man. Like, I really don't know what I would do. It would have to be something in the sports world. I always joke with my buddies. We have a group chat, so like 3 guys that were, one's a coach at FDU Florham. One was an assistant this past year at Muhlenberg, but he should have a head job. And then my other buddy coached at Kenyon before he got out. But like they're all really good coaches. They should have been the other two definitely should got a head coaching job. It's just so political on how you get jobs.
Sure, yeah.
We always joke that if we got out of coaching, we're going to start our own bar. And it's like my bar would be called Hackers Pub. And it'd be sick.
Oh, that's a good name, actually.
No, so I would name all the food after former players or like.
That's a fucking idea.
Like the Beeman would just be fucking liver, liver and onions.
Top seller.
Yeah. What would your dish be?
Fuck.
What do you get?
Corned beef.
Corned beef.
Corned beef. Just make a terrible corned beef sandwich and call it the max.
I have a very very interesting diet. Remember? Actually, no, I don't want to bring that up on the
I
podcast.
will. So if he's eating soup, he'll finish.
No,
the
let
noodles.
me explain it.
Can I say it first?
No, because then you're gonna say it fucking. Then you're gonna make me seem like. Okay, fine, fine.
He'll eat soup. He'll finish the noodles, right? Then he'll take bland Cheerios, put it in the soup water, and eat it.
Hear me out.
You're a weirdo.
See,
Hear me
he
out.
said that.
You're a weirdo. That's not normal.
So first of all,
Like,
it's
I was
it's
weird.
ramen, like beef ramen, whatever, and it's like a crouton in a soup, and the flavors go to. It's like they're both savory flavor. It's not like I'm fucking.
It's a Cheerio.
Exactly, but exactly.
Foul
It's a savory like thing that absorbs like flavor. It's
Yeah.
not crazy. That's not a crazy thing to do.
disgusting.
No, it's not. I think it's more disgusting to put ketchup on eggs, and I'll stand by that.
No.
I'll stand by that
don't
shit.
catch- but that's very
Ketchup on eggs, hot sauce on eggs. It's fine. Also, I think the other thing I would do if I wasn't coaching, I think I'd want to be like an athletic director. I think somewhere where I can not like give advice and mentor people is something I really enjoy doing. So I think if basketball was taken away from me, like I would look to something in that route. But hopefully basketball never gets taken from me.
Going back to like the diet thing that we just touched on a little bit, because you were excessive compulsive, like getting in shape, how did that reflect in your diet? Did you have any change in your diet? Because you said you went on that like keto-ish diet when you were growing up, but like as a college player, like did you have any like specific dietary, not like restrictions, but just like things that you did to like
I think
help keep you in
I think
shape?
it was very. I was just more conscious of what I was eating. Like, obviously, don't get me wrong. Like, there's still days where you go sit down and eat 20 chicken wings.
Sure.
Like it's nothing. But like, you're also burning so much during season. You can eat a different way. But like, I would try to like that was before. Like, you guys have so much more knowledge and research, and it's become much more like what fuels your performance, right? Like what you were doing. Well, until you found out like how much running we were doing in practice, right? You're like I can't.
and how
do
much
this.
money that shit costs.
And the money, like it's expensive, but I think I was just more cognizant of what I was eating, trying to drink as much as drink as much water. Let's preference that as I can. And I think it was just more like let's watch what we're doing, especially because my body type isn't like everyone else's. Like I carry weight differently, so I got to be more cognizant of what I'm actually doing. To it. So for me, but like I'm telling you, like when I was obsessive compulsive, like I was doing 6 days a week where I'd be running 30 miles in a week. Like I was doing that along with shooting stuff. So like I was.
What was your mile time?
The quickest mile I ever ran was probably 5:05.
That's a fucking good mile time.
Yeah, and it was funny because like when I was training for this triathlon I did before I turned 30. Like when you get out of it, like you're trying to find things just like keep you motivated. So I did it like before I turned 30. I'm actually trying to probably looking to maybe do a half marathon or something like that. I'm kicking around the idea maybe in the fall just to get back in really good shape again. Like I'm not in terrible shape now, but I just don't do what I normally did. But when I was doing that, I timed myself for a mile at 29. I just did it at Ursinus when I was running the track. I did it in like 5:13 or something like that. And that was back then. Like I don't know. Like running was.
I used to run like so. My friend Ryan Rudnick, who
Running's boring though.
boring as fuck.
I used to like if I went running back home, I would dribble a basketball with me. I would dribble like 4 miles, just keep going.
But Ryan, so we both went to a prep school the same year. Him going to like leaving his prep school at home and going to a prep school in the U.S. kind of sparked my thing because I want we have very similar goals, and he kind of set me up with the person that helped him find a place. And so he was committed to. He went to Governor's Academy in Boston.
Okay.
We're still the coach.
I've seen a film of him. He's really good.
Yeah, he was either starting or the sixth man for University of Toronto this year as a freshman, which is a fucking extreme. Like this year, they were a very, very good program.
Equate
Nationally
Toronto
ranked.
to like what is that?
It's kind of like so.
Like what would they measure up in a Division I? Like what Division I program?
I think they're
Are they like
You
A10?
beating
think they
Canisius.
would go dancing. You
No. Not
Are they
Carlton
like
would go
Are
dancing.
they like a Mac school?
Yeah,
or are they
something
like an
like that.
A10? Okay,
No, something
a
like
Mac,
that. Like,
okay.
yeah, they're like
That's
they
what
would be a
Canadian
lower
universities,
end.
It's like lower. Some of them lower D1s, but they're very tough.
Gotcha.
Because you saw the film on my. I think I reposted one of his things. You're like, make him a Maverick. I'm like, shit, bro. I've fucking been trying because he was committed a lot later than he was committed a lot later than me. He's gonna be one of the first. He's gonna be one of the fucking first guests that we have on when we get home.
Mm-hmm.
But he was committed a lot later than me because his coach. I mean, apparently he knows what he's doing because he's the head coach at NMH now. But like, which is like Northfield on Hermon, which is like one of the best prep schools in the country.
Yeah, they're
but
insane.
He just didn't think that Ryan was ready to go play Division I basketball yet. He kept saying like, if you go play 1 year at JUCO, you can go to you'll be at Michigan. But Ryan already did a 5th year. He's very young, so he's still 19 now.
So he's young for his age.
Very young,
or
yeah.
grade, whatever.
But he didn't want to do that, and so he had like, we would talk all the time. He probably had like 25 Division I schools reach out to him. So like Vermont, he talked to NJIT, just a ton of like big schools.
Yeah.
But like mid major, like Binghamton, like some very solid programs. But just, I think you funneled them to your high school coach, and high school said like they didn't think he was ready, and so eventually he just like, fuck it, I'm gonna go and play in Toronto, play at home, and see what I can do. So he was committed later than me. But so we started before he committed to a prep school. When he committed, before I did, he was made aware like, we have a conditioning test, like you need to run a mile in 6 minutes or 5:45, whatever it is, like
right.
the bigs, and he's 6'9", so he had to run the big time. But he's like, fuck, let's start fucking running miles. Like, it could only help. I'm like, fucking bet. Like, let's see what I can get. And we ended up, I think I ran like close to a 5:35, something like that, which is not bad at all. But like,
No.
we're also running.
Well, that's like
in our
That's
neighborhood.
like Beeman at Delaware.
Fuck, you really wanted that Delaware.
10:30 and
be
Kobe
cold.
was like 10:29 or something
That
like
just
that.
pissed me off, dude. I was drunk.
What was your Delaware time?
We were right here.
The Delaware
Yeah.
time when I ran, I think my senior year. So I won it my freshman year. Didn't win it my sophomore, junior, which pissed me off. And I think my senior year I did it in 10:10.
That was the goal. That was what in my head. I was like, if I can get 10-10, I'm fine with whatever.
Yeah, I would have fucking started Beeman. He broke my time.
I never ran Delaware. I ran Delaware one time the day before when we were just doing a practice run, just because I was hurt. But I'm interested to see what I get.
Dude, you're like Girari. Girari ran it for the first time
got it.
this year. Never ran it the previous years because
for sure.
because the first year he didn't have his medical forms in. Shocker, I know. His second year we didn't do it because of COVID. His third year he had COVID, and then this year he finally ran it.
And he fucking got
He ran
like
it one
third
time
place.
ever.
Got
And he,
third place.
yeah, he's like 11-19 or something like that.
That's fucking crazy. I want to try and. I feel like I could. I've been a pretty good distance runner, like not distance runner, but like mediocre, like because I feel like I keep the same pace. But I feel like, I mean, when I did that, that was literally like one of the first times I ran. I ran it with my fucking knee brace on.
Dude, I ran track in high school
I ran.
as a fat kid.
I think we talked about that when I was being recruited here because I was running track at the time.
Yeah.
And he was asking like, what events did you run again? Coach
800
Long was a fucking track demon apparently too at 5'4".
He was javelin. I did the 800.
Yeah, fuck that.
No, it sucked, man. Because for whatever reason, we had this kid Haken DeVries who was at our school. He's now the track and field coach at Kentucky.
Really?
Yeah. No. He won like states and cross country with like a broken bone in his foot. Like he was he was almost sub 4 mile time. Like, he was insane.
fucking
So he went to
crazy.
Stanford on a full running scholarship. But I was in the same fucking heat as him. And I swear to God, like I'm just fat, dumb, and happy, jiggling around the track as I'm going. And this dude sprints around the track once, and I see him like, shit, I haven't even finished my first lap yet.
My first ever race. So I started off running the 400. My first ever race, I was in the same heat as the state champion in 400, and I was beating him the first 300 meters. Because I fucking like, yo, I'm about to fucking. I didn't know. This is my first ever time running it. I don't know any pacing. I don't know any breathing techniques. I'm wearing my fucking KDs on this fucking big ass track. I'm like, I'm about to fucking run as fast as I can. If I burn out, I fucking burn out. Ended up fucking. I won the first 300 meters. And then the lap, I mean, he knows what the fuck he's doing. Ended up smoking me by like 10 seconds. I ended up finishing running with, not even bad, it was probably a 56, but he probably ran like a 47 or some shit like that.
Right.
But I was fucking beating his ass. So then I switched my event to the 200. So I'm like, shit, if I could keep that pace that'd be solid.
Yeah.
And I was ended up being pretty decent at the 200. So I want to ask you about your hobbies outside of basketball. We can cut this.
Trouble for
Do you have it? So we'll cut that. But do you have any hobbies you want to talk about outside of
So things that, I mean, Beeman will find this alarming, but yes, I do have hobbies outside of basketball. I do love playing golf a lot. Like I'm a big golfer in the summer. I like doing that. I'm actually.
I feel like that goes hand in hand with retired athletes.
It does, but it's like also golf's like really mentally challenging
For sure.
because like there's no one to bail you. And I think I fell in love with it when I went to the U.S. Open back in 2008 and was like following Tiger Woods around. But like, there's no one else out there to bail you out. Like if you just suck, you suck. And to try
it's
to get
just
that,
you versus you. And
to try to get the
Yeah.
fucking golf ball in 4 strokes or less down every time is just challenging. So I think I really like doing that. I found a new thing this past year. Like we had some logs down in the backyard, and my brother-in-law lives out in Indiana. He bought me a wood splitter. So sometimes, just to get
out,
some
fuck it
frustration out, just split some wood.
Chop wood.
Yeah, no, like man, I love hanging out with my wife. I like, my obviously
The dog.
we've struggled to have kids, as you guys know, but like our dog, like I love taking him to the park and doing
Shout out
things.
George.
Yeah, George is the best, but like I love doing those types of things. But also like, as I've gotten older, it's more like I still like working out a lot. Like every morning I have a routine. Like I'm very routine oriented. Like
You go to Elk, right?
Elk every morning.
What do you? How often? Like, do you go every day? Like, what's
4 days a week. So I go Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and generally I go down there about 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning. My buddy, who's actually was a strength and conditioning coach at New Paltz, now works at a gym in LA, and he trains some movie actors and actresses and things along those natures. But he designs a program for me, and I just go there and do that. So like I'm pretty regimented in the workout. It's just something I'm accustomed to doing, and I don't want to stop doing it. Yeah. So I think with working out, golf, hanging with Leanne, hanging out with George, seeing my closer friends, because I think time's just very precious, especially you kind of realize that when you get older and shit like that. But it's kind of my hobbies, man. Just now that we own a home, it's just doing shit around the house and trying to make it nice and appealing. So I do have other hobbies outside of basketball.
Although, kind of like before you get into what you want to get to.
Also,
yeah,
there is a hobby that you guys don't know about. It's a sport we created up about during the COVID season. It's called Guinness.
We being the team?
No, yeah, you
Like
guys definitely don't. No, what's that?
Like the alcohol?
No, Guinness, not Guinness. You idiot. It's Gennis.
Okay.
It's basically you take tennis rackets and tennis balls, but we bought like flowering pots and like flag sticks we made, and it's basically you're playing golf with tennis racket and tennis ball, and you can play it at any park. You just put 8 buckets around, and it's like 3 rounds of 8 buckets. So myself, the head coach at St. Joe's, Gabe, who was my assistant here, who's also the best man at my wedding, we will leave and go play, but we also have like a following of people that come play the sport with us. You guys should like do it and check it out. You'd have a blast. Like it's a lot of fun. Like we have tournaments sometimes in the summer too.
When I went to Tampa with Mac, spike ball?
Yes.
Played some spike ball on the beach. That was fucking just like those like type of games that's just like not like
just out of the blue random shit.
Just like but like competitive, like take movement, like team, like those are
something
awesome
that doesn't seem like you're getting a ton of work in, but you're actually just doing shit.
For sure.
Like I can't sit still. I think that's one of my biggest things that my wife would tell you that. She's like, you can't sit still, can't enjoy anything.
So what I want to ask you, something I kind of just thought of, but like, I've obviously been thinking about it, but I feel like you're a good person to like be able to answer this question. So when we've had a bunch of conversations, especially recently, but it's just like you're very similar to how I like you as a player, how I am now, just very obsessive compulsive about working out and getting in every day, and no matter what's going on, just like keep working out. So, but what's that feeling like? So 4 years, and then you get hurt playing at the pro tryout, and then after that, like you kind of like decide to hang it up, and then it's like, fuck, like I'm dreading the day where I'm not playing basketball anymore, and I wake up the next morning, I'm like I don't need to go and get up shots and lift today. Like what's that? Like just
it's weird.
What's that feeling like?
I think it was really weird that first year I was out, and then like October 15th came around. No, it wasn't.
Yeah,
going to practice or meeting up with the guys and like watching the first game here. But I think what eased me off it was still getting into coaching.
Yeah.
So I still had my fix of basketball. It's just from a different side. Like it is very weird. So I played like semi-pro right after my senior year here. I played at this local Buffalo team, and we played this team from Oklahoma City. And I was like, this shit's not really for me because it's more ISO one-on-one stuff, and that's just not me. I'm more of a system guy. And then the overseas thing didn't work out. So like that's where I wanted to. Coaching was like the next only thing to supplement my obsessive compulsive. You're doing it in different. You do things in different ways, and like now you're just like. When I was young, I was still training guys, so I was still getting workouts in. It was just I didn't have to go make 400 shots.
Yeah, it's just like after the season when we were banned from the gym for like 3 weeks, like I'm still lifting, but like,
2.
but it's still, but it's like I'm like, okay, well in 3 weeks it's just as temporary. Like I couldn't even imagine like when I hang whenever fucking
why I
life
did that?
takes me. What's that?
You know why? Do you know why you guys weren't in the gym?
It was.
I think it's just like a break.
from basketball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mentally, we can just.
It's chill. Like, and plus you've been going at it since September or late August, whenever you guys
Yeah.
got here. So it's like, man, you also got to be college kids. You gotta have some fun. You need to learn to have some fun.
He does. He can't.
And maybe get a new hairstyle because you do look like The Rock.
I just like I couldn't even like what that feeling of like emptiness would be like. Just like
You're gonna be like I can
be a
really see
fucking
you
mess.
like no, you're not even basketball. You're gonna be like playing tennis or some shit.
dude, I told my parents this, like when I get older, like I'm gonna have to make enough money to be able to put a basketball court in my basement because there's no way I'm gonna be able to go to work without shooting, waking up at 7:30 and getting 500 shots up in the morning. Like I'm gonna have to have my own shooting machine.
Hobbies and interests will change for you.
Hopefully. I didn't choose this lifestyle. It chose me.
Sure did.
But like I'm gonna have to like
It wasn't guarding. It was shooting.
exactly. I'm not gonna be doing slides when I'm 35.
No.
I'm gonna have to have some sort of like goal in the. There's no way I'm
You
gonna be
need
able
an
to go to
outlet.
bed at
You
night.
need an outlet.
I'm not gonna be able to go to bed at night without
Yeah.
having to fucking.
And it can't be video games either.
Shit, I'd be tearing up the fucking game though. At night, I'd definitely be tearing up 2K. But
You're
like,
gonna be okay with the fact like the day that it comes where your son is better than you at basketball and you just can't compete.
dude, I am gonna beat the shit out of that kid
But what
on the
happens when
court
you can't?
every single day.
It's gonna be like
until-
grown-ups.
But, bro, honestly, if I have a kid that like was better than I ever was, that means that like I think that's the whole goal.
But
Like
egotistically, it's gonna hurt you a little bit.
yes and no. Like I feel like if he's better than me, he's gonna play
You're
college
gonna
basketball
be
somewhere.
so butthurt when your kid beats you.
But if my kid, I mean,
Unless they're like dudes. Like,
hopefully I
dudes.
fucking give birth to a dude, and then he fucking goes and plays college basketball.
You're gonna give birth?
My fucking wife gives birth. My wife gives birth. Hopefully my seed produces a fucking dude.
I don't feel comfortable.
Hopefully my seed produces a fucking dude.
I kind of want to get more into the mind and the college basketball aspect of things. So,
Yeah.
what is something that you look for, or a couple key things that you look for when you're recruiting a player, like some skills, attributes, characteristics?
So I think the first thing I try to do is always look at body language, how a kid interacts with their coach, their teammates, the official. If shit doesn't go their way, they're like a palms up guy where they're complaining. I think that's a big thing. Also, sometimes you try to look in the stands to see what their parents are like too, to see if they're going to create a headache, right? Luckily, we don't have any of those in our program, right? Like we're pretty lucky. But then it comes down to like now. So it depends where you're at conference wise. Like the AMCC, we recruited differently than how I'm going to have to recruit for the Empire 8. Like obviously, we saw this year you need bigger, stronger, longer players to be really successful. AMCC, like we can get away playing a bit smaller and get away with it and be fine. Like we're really athletic. But now it's like you want to find kids that fit the system you run. So for us, like you got to have a better, higher basketball IQ, passing abilities important. Obviously, as you guys know, shooting, like we need to address that part this year. But I think those traits of like, in general, like you also can tell a lot about a basketball player by their hands. Like, do they have really good hands? Do they catch passes? Are they delivering passes on point? Shooting wise, like a lot of it you can tell by hands. And I think those are crucial when we go out evaluating. Like when I was out in Pittsburgh this weekend, it was you're looking for kids and would they just fit? Like, and the first thing I always tell Coach Long is like, if they're not a good kid or they're just not a good teammate or they have bad body language, like let's stop it right there, right? And then let's evaluate the basketball things that we deem necessary, like what I talked about with hands, passing, shooting. I think those are all important components, especially where the game's changed now. Like, if you can't shoot, it's fucking hard to win. And it's also hard to play. Like, Coach Long would come in the office, he goes, we got to be the only small ball team that tries to score in the paint.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah. But that also, like, shit happens. Like, I don't think we had a great shooting year. I think we have good shooters, but, like, also, we're a young team. We have some old kids, but we're a very young team. And when you're playing teams that have graduate students and seniors starting, and we're starting basically 4 sophomores and Colby, right? Like that's
Where the fuck he is.
that's different,
Yeah.
right? But when like you're just recruiting kids, you look off that, and some coaches go, like my old boss at Ursanis, he was big on measurables. Like I couldn't recruit wings that were under 6'4". Like they had to be. He's like, find kids that are between 6'4" and 6'7". I was like, Coach, this kid's playing in the fucking Patriot League, right, in the Ivy League. But those were the kids we were getting at Ursanis. Like my philosophy is like generally, if you're good enough, you're tall enough to a certain degree, right? Like I'll take Dante Wilcott, Quan, Demo. I'll take these guys against anybody because I think they have heart and they're tough and they've been playing with it their whole life, right? Now can we get the other kids, maybe, Oscar's really developed. James, I've been wildly impressed with just how much better he's gotten from when he first stepped on campus to now. Like, it's night and day.
For sure.
And you have these pieces, other pieces that come along, like, it matters. Like, can Zamir turn into something? So Joe Veal's a good athlete who's long, but, like, can he take basketball serious enough? Mm-hmm. Like, those are questions you ask. But the hard part is, like, it has to be a fit for me. Like, that's why I think it's important when you guys come on campus and getting to know you. Sure. Even, like, I didn't really get to know you much until you got on here, but, like, I remember every day coming into the gym, whether I was going to be working out at Elk, you were generally in the gym at 6:30, 6:15 in the morning shooting every day. So I'm like, okay, like, that's on the right trajectory, right? And, like, those are the kids you want, and that's what you have to learn from. And, like, that's why sometimes I get on you guys about work habits and work ethic. And I tell you guys a lot, like, you got to love this shit in Division III. You can't just like it. Mm-hmm. Like, there's a time commitment, and, like, I can't force you to be here, and here.
Especially now in
off season. Like, you guys got to want to do all the work and get better. So I think that's the biggest component is, like, you got to kind of project what kids are going to do in 4 years, or, like, what's their growth. Like, Ryan Mercer's growth from his freshman year to this year was insane. Oscar's growth was insane. Like, I'm expecting jumps from you, James, I'm expecting jumps, because if you don't really get better from your freshman to sophomore year, are you going to get better from your sophomore to junior? Because you didn't show that you're going to do it. All of a sudden, there's not going to be like a fucking light bulb moment, right? Yeah. So I think that's like the biggest thing to try to decipher when you're kind of recruiting kids to play for us.
For sure. So one thing that we asked Coach Long, and I think we want to ask a similar question, but I feel like you were going to give a little bit more of a different perspective on, not a different perspective, but just like different, more entertaining version of it. Is just, I want to hear a story from you that you have from me and Chris, like this, from this past season for the audience.
What did Coach Long say?
He said that we were running a play for me, and I came down and I scored, and he was like, yes, go get it. And then they ran the same play, and I ripped by, and I laid it up again. He's like, yes, like, this kid can play at this level. And it
was just like seeing me like work out every day and just like saying like, yeah, like
Bryce and
like challenge Bryce and shooting stuff like that.
Do what Bryce did in his first, like, yeah. So like,
my stories are way different.
Yeah, I want to hear like I expected.
Like I can go. One of my.
And we don't need to talk about how I forgot which team I was on, because that's already been on the podcast.
I swear to God. I swear to God, we're not going to go to the point that you didn't know what we're doing in a drill and you're on offense when you're on defense and you're wide open.
Well, I mean,
screaming for the fucking ball.
Not knowing what I'm doing in a drill, and it was happened way more times than I thought I was on offense.
No, like the funnier. I'll give you the funnier side. Like Chris's shit was wild to me. Like. Yo, when he does the little wiggly figures thing like this to me, I'm like, beaming. Like, I'll call him out in practice, and he's sitting there like, one of those. I'm like, what's wrong with this kid? Like, what is he doing? But also, like, when you come back, we came back. I set you down. I don't know. How early was it in the season?
Oh, probably November.
Sometime in November, so maybe a couple weeks in.
Yeah. Something like
and you were just struggling off the get-go, whether it was confidence or me yelling at you or all you guys. And like, maybe I look back on it now, it's probably like I should have gave you guys a little more time to get acclimated instead of jumping you guys right away. I think my patience level, the patience level I have, and also I put a pressure on myself being that I played here. Like, I want to have the program at a high standard. But my patience level, like, I didn't do a good enough job with the incoming class this year like I did with the other class. Like, yeah, I would still yell at Quan for doing some crazy pass, just like I'd yell at Mac. But like, I got on them so early, but it's also like each kid's different and learn differently. But I remember you came in the office, and I looked you dead in the eye. I was like, Chris, if you don't fucking start playing better, you're going to become the videographer of Medaille basketball.
And literally, he starts playing better, and he becomes the videographer. By choice, though.
Yeah. So, but this is the crazy part. So he goes back out the next 2 or 3 practices, and like, way different. You were way different, like in the way you were competing and doing things. And I remember texting you. I said, yo, Chris, like, great job. You're doing a lot better. And I remember you text me back saying, yeah, coach, I didn't really want to become the videographer this or something like that in the season.
Little do you know, he wanted to be the videographer the whole time.
And now he's that guy. But that moment, and then also when we got back from Christmas break, you had an insane practice where you're just cooking whoever, and like
In the fucking one-on-ones.
dude,
fucking
I always fucking pointing up and shit like that. I always laugh when, like, man, the guys would go so crazy for you when you do something. I'm like, he's not a manager doing this. Like, you would do shit, and you would make me laugh so much. But your perspective on things, like when we met after the season, and you're like, yeah, coach, I just like it. I don't love it. I want to pursue the podcast, and I want to keep doing the weightlifting things. But also hearing you talk about our season, like, you understand things so well, and like you have a really good perspective about you, and you're very mature about how you go about things. So like seeing that side, I was like, man, Chris is just a really good dude, and that's why like the videographer thing. But like you're also really good and gifted with the podcast, but doing graphics and things of those nature. So like you're gonna be a huge asset to us next year too. And like I still want you around. And I know the guys still want you around.
Sure, for sure.
You're a different cat. So the funniest fucking thing ever. And it hasn't been brought up on the podcast because I listen to every damn episode. The funniest thing you've ever done is when you were injured and we're doing free throw shooting.
Oh my.
Dude, a free throw shooting, the guys just ran like down, back, down, back, down, back, down, back, down, back. And I'm calling guys like we just keep missing. So I'm like, all right, Max, come out here. Like, and dude, because in my head, I'm like, this kid fucking in here every day. He's shooting 95% from the free throw line.
I could fucking shoot free throws.
Dude, it was like, but I was like, this is automatic. Like, it's going to get the guys out of running, right? So, fuck me, because I was wrong. You come up there, confident as all hell, like, one dribble, two dribble. You go to release the ball, and the thing, for those that's not familiar, there's a fucking charge arc in front of the fucking basket, and it hits the charge arc in the air. And I'll never forget Travis Sanders' fucking face when you did that.
Dude, it was cold in the gym. I didn't take a shot yet. I was doing. Sorry, guys, some technical difficulties. We've been fucking pumping out content for you guys, and so storage is limited.
That air ball free throw
Wait,
would be legendary.
fix. I feel like it's crooked a little bit. Yeah, perfect. Okay. So yeah, I airballed a free throw. It was cold in the gym. I haven't taken a shot all day, and fucking my shirt was tight, and yeah.
Your shirt was tight.
Bro, I had no range of motion, bro. I had no range of motion, bro.
Or muscle.
Exactly. So I'm trying to think where we could go from here. You got something?
Yeah. I was gonna say, if you had to pick one attribute and/or skill for a player to have that you were picking up, what would it be? Just one.
From anybody, or
like you saw a kid on the court, and or you just take this imaginary player, and he only have one skill or attribute, like the most important skill or attribute that you're gonna take above all else. What would it be?
shooting.
That's it.
Oh, I think
Hell
shooting.
yeah.
I think shooting masks. Like, obviously, it's not just shooting, right? But like, you can't be shooting like when you're Bryce because he's slow as shit. Mm-hmm. Max can't guard that fucking water bottle
Yet.
But keyword. I think shooting though, because now like look at how the game's played. Mm-hmm. Like everything, if you can make threes, it masks other deficiencies. Yeah. Like I remember last year or 2 years ago, I guess now, when we were playing at Altoona, we ended up winning by a point. We got rebounded by a lot, right? Just beat on the boards, but we hit 18 threes. We were 18 for 30.
What was the most threes we hit this year?
3? I think it was like 8 or 9, to be honest with you. But I think it was like 8 or 9. Maybe we made in the game, but like we had 18, and that game was nuts because we came back and Quan hit a 3 at the buzzer.
Yeah,
pretty much.
That game.
It was nuts. Like, so I think when you watch something like that, or even like Marietta, when we played in the tournament, they were really good, but we made 14 threes in the NCAA tournament. So like when you make threes and you're maybe giving up height and all these, like if we shot the ball really well against Alfred, like people have this misconception of the playoff game. Like we lost by 20 or 25, whatever it was. But if I told you that we held Alfred at 38% from the floor, they were 9 for 39 from 3, so 23% from 3, and then we were 4 for 7 from the free throw line, you'd be like, that's pretty fucking good. The only problem is we were anemic.
And we gave up 545 offensive rebounds.
But my point is, like, if we shoot the ball well, you can negate some of those deficiencies. So I think if you can get really good shooters, you can make a run. Like, I think that's so important. Obviously, that's not the only thing, but like if I had to do it, like shooting would be the number one thing going forward. just with the way the game's played. Obviously, if the game changes, you change that answer up. So maybe one day it's size again. So I think that's something I would look for.
So what is like something, and like going back to like a specific thing for me and Chris, what is like the something that you think we could like improve on, maybe on the court, maybe in life? From getting to know us this past year and like just seeing the way we've improved and seeing like what could help us take us to the next level, maybe as basketball, or me, I guess me as a basketball player and as a human being, Chris as a human being, and whatever the fuck.
Well, Chris's biggest, like your biggest thing is basically like being more outgoing.
For sure.
I think you're so...
Go up to some women.
No, I just
hate you as a human being.
I think sometimes you're just so reserved. Mm-hmm. And I remember even Colby saying one day, like, what do I have to do to get like the most out of you type thing? But like, you need to apply that just in life. Is like, you've found something you're passionate about now. So like, obviously you're diving in head over heels for, which is good. Like, you found a passion. But like, well, it's back to him. Then back to you. Like, he's more outgoing and like, speak what's on his mind. You need to not be so goddamn defensive.
Fair.
But that's okay. Like, it's something when you're young, like, you just get defensive. Like, we all are about certain things. And obviously basketball, we know what you need to work on.
We know.
Literally the funniest thing you ever fucking said. We were at Utica. Yeah. We were at Utica, and I was like, imagine you have to go guard one of those guys out there. He goes, Coach, I can guard one of the Fisher JV kids out there.
Shit, I have 5 threes though. But next, that's definitely like, bro, I'm gonna be fucking spamming defensive slides with the rubber band and fucking. I'm gonna come in, maybe able to make an elite guard make one move to beat me instead of walking by, or 2 moves instead of
walking by.
Taking a free basket.
He just backpedals, man. So like, if Dante or someone runs at him, he just like, by the time he realizes he can wall up, he's already under the rim and it's over.
I've been working on it. I'm only like been doing it for like a few days, but it's definitely like I have 4 months. I'm gonna spend the necessary time. Obviously, now that I've definitely identified. Honestly, like getting my ass busted that one open gym was probably the best thing to happen to me, because and like not like I couldn't hit a shot, and then that was probably because. Before it's like, oh yeah, well, haha, like Max can't guard, but like, yeah, I hit fucking 9 threes. I'm 9 for 11 today. Like, I've hit 4 game winners. Like, so it doesn't really. But then that one day, I was like, I mean, I don't really know. I didn't get a lot of shots, and I wasn't hitting when I got them. And like, well, then, and I'm getting fucking put in a pick and roll every single time, fucking headhunted. And then like that really like.
Next year we're gonna call it Finding Nemo. Whoever's the shittiest guard out there.
Clarified my weakness, and then I mean, I obviously it was uncomfortable, like something I definitely needed, because like. I mean, no matter how fucking well I shoot the ball, if I hit I'm 2 for 2 from 3, but I give up 4 layups, then I'm negative.
You're definitely not gonna be in the game that long.
I'm at -2. Fucking what do you call it? So, but yeah. So what were you?
I was gonna say, because we're having some technical difficulties, because there's a lot more I want to get into, but
so do I. Kicking me off early.
Might have to run it
it's the phone. We definitely could.
I was going to say, what do you think the biggest mistake young, aspiring college basketball players are making? So either kids in middle school, high school, whatever. What do you think the biggest mistake they make when trying to make college basketball is?
I honestly think the biggest mistake is specializing in just one sport. I think you see a lot of kids get burned out by the time they're in 11th and they're getting recruited 11th grade, 10th grade. Like, parents have kids doing these absurd amount of tournaments in a short span of time. So kids aren't being kids ever, right? Like, eventually at some point you're going to get burned out from doing this if you're going all the time, because you go in the fall, you're doing high school workouts, you have your senior season or whatever high school season, you got to have your straight into AAU. And then in the summer you're doing a summer league. So like, when are you ever having time to do anything for yourself? And I think the biggest thing is like, you got to you got to love it, but you also got to like give it some boundaries too, where he's like, you shouldn't just be basketball. Like, do other sports, do some cross training that help you stay engaged. Because if you just keep doing it, and a lot of times you see parents push kids into certain things, maybe they're living out their own dream, but like, that's not helping the kid. Because I've seen so many kids get burned out. Like, one of my best friends, he went to play soccer at St. Bonaventure. He was burnt out by the time he got there just from doing too much soccer stuff. So I think like it, but find other avenues that you can kind of dive into and not be so consumed. So I think work at it, but also find other sports.
We talk about how it's important to have like another passion as well, just because like basketball is like, the premise of the sport is like, if you're really fucking good, you'll miss half your shots if you're really fucking good.
Isn't that crazy?
So like you can't base your and that's something that I've had to do a lot of learning about, is like you can't base your happiness on like just the sport, because there's going to be naturally ups and downs just the way the sport works. So you have to have other stuff that's help you get through those bad days.
Yeah, for sure. And I like also a piece of advice for like young kids out there too is like the pain of regret is far heavier than the price of discipline, right? So if we always look back and we have regrets, like I could have done this more, instead of just being disciplined about your like process and your approach to doing things. So even though I want kids to go out and branch different things, but like be disciplined about what you're doing. Like I would turn down going out on Friday nights if I was working Monday through Friday because I didn't get my work in Friday night. Like, or taking care of your body more, whether it's stretching, hydrating, things along those lines. So like being disciplined, like you only get so many years to play this game, whether it's in a team setting. So take advantage of it and be disciplined about what you're doing, and don't have regrets, because we have way too many. Everyone has regrets about their time playing or not doing certain things throughout the year. I'm sure both of you guys do at some point, but like yours might have been like, why the fuck did I stay with it? but those are things that like stack up, and I just think that's important for young kids, is like be disciplined early on and don't do it for TikTok, Instagram. Like block out the white noise of what people are telling you and just focus, because people are going to find you. Like myself, I wasn't recruited. I found my way and I got my foot in the door, and I was lucky enough to play with some really good cats that, we had good careers here.
Do you have any of like, what's like something that you have like a regret from your playing career or anything like that you wish that?
I have two. I think listening early on about getting in the weight room, just from a physicality standpoint, but also when I got to the point of being a junior, senior, leadership wise, I think I struggled if kids didn't want to get in the gym as much as I did. And instead of me dragging them to the gym, I'd be like, fuck it. Like I'm doing it on my own. Like I'm gonna be a lone wolf. I'm gonna go do what I do in the morning instead of dragging more people with me. And sometimes I would alienate those people because I didn't think they were on the same level or wavelength as me. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't the guys I played with, it was more the younger kids. So I think I could have done a better job of leading them at that time. Are probably some of the things I regret. And obviously it's fucking a long time ago now. So, but those I think are things that I regret.
I think that's all I got. If you have one more thing.
I do have one more thing, actually. Sure. I was going to say, do you have any, or I'll say one life lesson that you learned in basketball that also parallels into your just normal life?
Yeah. One thing from basketball, I would probably say, coach would always talk about embracing the grind. And the grind's what you make of it. Sometimes it's an overused word. But anything like worth doing is kind of worth overdoing. And if you're going to do something, like embrace it. Like embrace 6 a.m. practices. Embrace, for me now, going home and watching those hours of film after we just got done with practice. Embrace having the uncomfortable conversations, which suck. Like I hate having uncomfortable. You guys might think I enjoy it. Like I hate having uncomfortable conversations with you guys because I genuinely care about all of you. So like I think just embracing all the things that go with coaching and embracing everything that goes on in life and situations that have come in my own life with, not being able to have kids right now or struggling to start a family. I think when the more you embrace those things, it creates a better outlook. Like, having an optimistic outlook as opposed to being pessimistic about things. And people in this world are so negative all the time that I think it can be easy to get caught up into that. So I think just embracing everything that kind of comes at you and you kind of learn through life, and there's no other way than getting in the fire. Like I told you guys, when some of you guys went getting into the practice drills, I'm like, you guys are going to screw up. Just like embracing, get in there. Like there's no way you learn. So I think that'd be it.
I think that's all we got for today.
Piece of advice?
Fine. Piece of advice?
Yeah, the one piece of advice we give to his younger self.
Fuck yeah. What's one piece of advice that you would give to your younger self or younger hoopers that want to play college basketball? Like just one piece of advice about the game, about life, about how
don't eat Twinkies when you're younger because it's going to set you back. No, I think the advice piece is literally just if you want it, work for it, but you don't need to flaunt everything you're doing. Just kind of work in silence and be genuine about the connections you make, and don't turn down any opportunity, whether it's a camp, a clinic, because you never know literally who's watching. Like you go back to like John Morant, who's just in the back of a gym shooting around, and now he gets a job at Murray State. Now he's the top 10 player in the NBA. So like you just can never turn down opportunities that come your way, and whatever it is.
Awesome.
All right.
That's all we got for today. Thank you guys for listening.
Sure. Yeah, no, I appreciate you guys. That was fun.